Hello, friends. How's it going today? It's Sunday evening again. We we weren't here this morning, mostly because of my work schedule. So hopefully there are exciting things to come with that. But we're here now. It's evening time. Mars, how are you doing today?
I'm here.
You're
I'm
here.
queer. I'm here.
Queer.
I'm queer, and I'm ready to talk comics.
Let's talk comics. There was a ton of stuff that came out this week. I mean, I know that I bought a ton of stuff. Like I'm gonna try.
I have a gen stack this week.
It was a lot, you guys. Some of
Okay,
this is variant.
I don't have quite a gen stack, but I
Some
have
of this is variant, so
almost a gen stack.
almost. So we'll be talking about a lot of books. We were just talking backstage about all of the things that we liked, so many of the things that we did not like. So we'll definitely get into that. I want to say hello to a couple people in the chat. So let's get started. And then hello to Travis. Thank you always for being here. Appreciate you so much. Sheena, thank you so much for being here. I know you said you had to go to work, but that's okay. Comics Misexplained. Thank you for being here. And then hello, Scott. Hi. The chat.
Howdy.
Howdy. TC, hello, thank you. And then hello to Todd Christian. Let's see here. And DaCosta Plus. Is that a plus? No, that's an asterisk. So DaCosta, every time comics breaks my heart saying, I swear by the moon and the stars and the I swear by the moon and the sky. I'm not gonna do that. Hello, Banshee Queen. Hello to Kirby. And then hello to Julie. And I'll go ahead and say hello to everyone else's everyone pops up in the chat. There was a lot of stuff that we read this week. There was even a lot of I know that there was a lot of movie and show content that came out, so I wouldn't mind. Yeah. I don't want to spoil too much of it, but we can give some time to that stuff too. Let's go ahead and just rip into some comics.
Oh, we're going heavy tonight.
Publicly, because folks, we just briefly chit-chatted about the comics that we didn't like backstage, and I don't know if we're going to be nicer in public. We're going to try to not get on the bad list of publishers, but here we are.
We're already there. I'm already there. I'm already there at least.
So. I know I'm probably on a blacklist for like one of the companies. They're like, no, it's probably Dynamite. So let's go ahead and get started. I really just want to like rip into Marvel right now.
We want to go that heavy.
I woke up today and chose violence.
We chose violence
in so many different ways, folks.
Which Marvel? I mean, I think we're gonna go with the obvious of which one we're going to rip into first.
I was gonna say Women of Marvel is the one that I want to rip into.
The obvious choice.
Okay, so really quick, folks, just so you know, in case you didn't get a chance to go to your shop and pick it up, Women of Marvel came out, and I feel like I was promised good stories.
I mean, we got gorgeous covers, but at what cost?
The cost was like $5.99 a book.
$5.99 a book. It was right. Do you want to take it away on your feelings? Because I have a lot of feelings.
I got these beautiful covers, and yes, they were cover buys, 100%. Especially, so we've got a beautiful Peach Momoko Scarlet Witch. We've got
Amanda Connor.
Amanda Connor. So look at those beautiful babes there. We got these beautiful babes here.
I think that's the Natasha Altareschi cover.
That I believe so. And then we've got I forget who that is too, but we've got Magic waving, raging.
What is most arguably the most gorgeous cover out of them all, I think. I love this
cover so much. Can I tell you, out of all of the women that are on all of these covers, maybe 2 of them show up in the whole book. Like, I think She-Hulk was the only one that I remember actually showing up.
Gamora had a story.
Gamora did have a story.
Gamora did have a story.
So there's like what feels like 20 different stories in this book, and it enrages me so much that we get a Women of Marvel one shot that, yes, it's $6. I'm obviously buying them for the covers, but the entire book is just made up of like 1 and like 2 and 3 page stories. So there's a lot in here, but it's a lot of substance of nothing. This to me was so bad. I feel like the first one was oh, I can't even think, and she's getting her nails done,
Lady Deathstrike.
and she's mad because her nails are too long and she can't drive a car. This is so beyond ridiculous to me. It feels like the rage that I feel every time they do like an X-Men women team up, and it's like, let's go to the mall because that's the only thing that women are interested in. Let's go to the mall. And I don't know. I know I'm trashing. Oh, did I break Mars? I think I broke Mars.
No, you
But I
didn't
did
break
not
Mars.
like any of these stories whatsoever.
Oh, I have
I
so
wonder
many.
who else purchased any of these. We'll wait until Mars comes back. Let's see
I'm
here.
still here. Can you not hear me?
Sucks to hear about Women of Marvel, 100%. Oh, I think I lost Mars. I'll see if she comes back. But I will buy that Scarlet Witch cover, though. I will go ahead and say hello to Gary B. And then hello, Bobby. It was so cool to see you on um, Travis's show. Okay, Mars is back. Let's add her to the stream.
What
Okay.
happened?
I don't know what happened either. I was like, maybe I broke her. Maybe she actually really did like the Women of Marvel. Okay. I hated it. I hated it so much.
Oh my God, I have so many feelings. Okay, where do I start? Okay, first off, there's like 12 different stories in this. Mariko Takamaki does about 6 of them, which I think is BS. Like, I'm sorry, I love Mariko Takamaki, but we need to give more people more spotlight. You know,
she's a great writer, but I just feel like,
where's Kelly Sue Dodonic? Where's Gail Simone? Where's Leah Williams? Where's Teenie Howard? Even if I'm not a big fan of her, you know, where are some of these Kelly Thompson? Where are some of these powerhouse women writing Marvel titles right now? As you were saying, we get a lot of like one-shot stories, but it felt like every single story in this book was, I'm a girl, so I'm going to do girl stuff. We see Lady Deathstrike getting her nails done. We see Emma Frost. Granted, I did like that story, and I think the art was very cute. We see Emma Frost. It's like, oh, I have no clothes to wear, so I'm just going to do mental protection. We have a Mystique story with Rogue where she's like, I see you crushing on a boy. Don't you do that.
And she's basically being like a weird helicopter parent.
A weird helicopter parent. We have Misty Knight where a bunch of female fighters come in for no reason to help them out. Medusa getting her hair done. So we're getting both our hair and our nails did. I don't, bickering, bullying, female bullying. I think the only story in this that didn't make me groan, and this is not me being biased, was the She-Hulk story. I feel like the She-Hulk story is the only one where it's like, okay, I'm just a girl and I'm here to get shit done. And the Hella story, I did like the Hella story. I thought that was really cute. No TC Journey, they were not doing hot girl shit. They were doing dumb girl shit. Literally dumb girl shit.
Well, I do. So, like, I don't necessarily think that getting your hair done and doing your nails is dumb girl stuff. I needed a lot more substance in a, like,
exactly.
If the whole thing is Women of Marvel and you only show them doing stereotypically female things, like, who is this made for? Is this made for dudes who think that they know what women do? Hot girl stuff is stuff like smashing the patriarchy.
Yes.
And I didn't see that in here.
And I wanted to see a lot more because we've seen, while it's not called Voices, I can tell you right now, this is definitely one of the Voices books. So we saw the Voices book for Black History Month. I think we saw an Asian American Voices from Marvel. Those had stories in them that were not focused around. I mean, yes, they were about rising up Black characters and Black voices. But we had one of the coolest Venom stories I've ever read. And I immediately wanted it to be greenlit into like a 20-issue series. There wasn't a single story in here where I'm like, okay, this could set up for something. This has substance. It was so painfully corporate. Like you could tell that the Marvel Studios and the Marvel execs were like, we need a girl book. So we're going to get all of these girl people and all of these girl characters to do girl stuff. And we're going to market it to the people. And I'm like,
It was not a fun read
It was
whatsoever.
not. It was not. And if this is the way that Marvel Queer Voices is gonna go, I don't even want it.
Yeah. 100%. The ladies were not toking it up. Marvel, you done did bad,
You
and
goofed.
I need you to come see me after class because that was a big F on your part. So
You done goofed.
um I I feel like if maybe the stories that were in here, because like I said, they were all like 1 and 2, 3 pages each time. So I think that if we maybe had gotten longer stories, like if there could have been a story that was fleshed out over a whole issue, or if they could have done a limited like maybe 10 issue run, or even like 6 or 8 issue run, and then really got to develop these characters a little bit more, or we saw one, like, 2 and 3 pages in each of the ongoing series, maybe. But the fact that it was just 1 and 2
Bad.
pages
It
with
was
no
just bad.
substance. Clearly, these were cover buys. I really hope that they get hot, so I can just offload them.
Facts. Don't think it's gonna happen though.
No.
So let's keep moving on with Marvel, I guess. There was a book that you picked up that I sure as hell did not. Do you want to talk a little bit about Alien 2 and let me know if it was just as bad as the first issue?
I'm not saying so. I did picked up both covers because of course I wanted the Hans
That one is
variant.
so cool. So that is the one thing I will say. These covers for Alien have been so ridiculously amazing.
Yeah. So I really appreciate these covers a lot. This one too isn't even bad. It's 100% going a lot more into the family dynamics, and it needs more aliens in my opinion. Like, I want more xenomorphs. I need a lot more of like an alien story, and not just the Weyland-Yutani story.
Mm-hmm.
I probably, unless there's a really cool variant, I probably will not be picking this series up anymore. Maybe. We'll see.
Don't do it.
Yeah.
Don't do it. Be like me. Drop it after issue 1.
I can't. I can't. I'm just kidding. I'm actually really challenging myself because I pick up a lot of books and I end up picking like duplicates up, and I'll end up picking up variants, 4 variants for a book I didn't even like. And
You gotta stop.
I
Somebody
know.
stop Jen. Somebody
So
help her.
I'm challenging myself to maybe buy less than 20 books next week. Let's see. Join us next Sunday to see if Jennifer actually does it. But
It's
I'm gonna
not gonna
I'm
happen.
gonna try.
Spoiler alert.
I'm gonna try. Todd Christian says, I agree. 2 or 3 pages isn't enough for a story. Marvel should have taken a page from Batman Black and White and made at least 8 pages. 100% agree. Like,
Mm-hmm.
if this was, I think especially when you're trying to be like, we're diverse and we're, trying to get more women involved, and then you get women involved, and especially I feel like we've been screaming about female creators, and then they do it, and the story's just, it's like, we're going to give you a one shot and you're going to get to do 1 page. It
And it's
doesn't
bad.
feel, yeah.
Feels bad.
Yeah. We're finally getting aliens at the end of the issue. Yeah. Needed more. What else? Did you pick up anything else from Marvel?
There was another book from Marvel that I did not like. Surprise, surprise. The Mighty Valkyries #1. I was really, really excited about this because we got the Valkyries. We're getting my girl Hela, who, by the way, did y'all know Hela was gay? Because listen, hold on, we got to go on a tangent. I did not know. Listen, I've been crushing on Hela since Thor Ragnarok. Like, that lady jumped on screen. I was like, hot damn, ma, that is my wife. I love her so much, but she will never love me.
Mm-hmm.
Come to find out, Hela is married to a woman. And I texted Jen screaming, I have a chance. I put it on Twitter screaming, I have a chance. There's one good thing I could take away from this book. It is that I found out Hela is gay. And Hela, if you're out there, please DM me. Anyway, this book was not very good. It was let me preface this. I am tired of Jason Aaron having a lockjaw grip on the Thor universe. We finally got him to release himself off of Thor, and Donny Cates took over. And while I haven't been reading it myself, a lot of people really tend to like the new Thor under Donny Cates. Yet it feels like anytime we have a sort of spinoff, whether it be Loki, whether it be the Valkyries, whether it be, I don't know, name something else that's in the Thor universe, Jason Aaron is always attached to it. And this man has been on Thor and everything else after Thor since what, 2012? Maybe earlier than that.
Yeah.
It's time for him to take a step back and either retire from comics or at least retire from Thor and try something else. Let somebody breathe new air into the universe, because Thor is a huge universe and it starts to get stale when it's done by the same creator over and over and over again. And that's how this book felt. I feel like this book has a very interesting premise because we're getting Hela thrown into it. We're getting Hela's wife. We're getting Jane Foster. There's this really cool interaction between Jane and Loki that I just felt like it could have been amplified if it was done in a more light-toned, comedic sort of light. Maybe possibly written by a woman like Kelly Thompson, maybe. I don't know. I'm just kind of shooting things out there.
I would really appreciate if maybe Marguerite Bennett got on it. I think that there's a couple stories you said that you didn't really care for by her, but I really liked her run
Angela
on
was really great.
And trying to think of what else. So I would really appreciate someone like Marguerite Bennett, because she's
100%.
technically been in, like, thinking about giving someone who's been part of that universe for a really long time, like writing it, like Jason Aaron. Give it to Marguerite Bennett. Please and thank you.
And I agree with that. The one thing I did like, though, is I absolutely love the artist. I can never pronounce Matea de Lewis. I can't pronounce his name. I'm sorry. As you know, if you're a fan of our show, I don't pronounce names very good.
We're trying.
I love his work. If you're not familiar with his work, he actually did a short run on Jessica Jones with Kelly Thompson. So I love his art. He's got a very stylized but very like comic action-y type art, and it's just gorgeous. And the way that he brings these characters to life, it works for a story like Thor. I was bored. I feel like this might be better as a trade read, but I don't think so.
And this one too, it had like two different stories, or like two different, like, I don't want to say timelines, but it had like two different things going on. So I think that was a little bit confusing. 100%, I think that, I don't know. I'm torn whether or not I want to keep picking this up, because we did just get End of Valkyrie's story that was tied in with King in Black, and I feel like that was kind of fun. Even
it was a little bit more fun.
Even though I didn't love it from month to month, I still thought it was okay, and it was tied in with the King in Black, so it was like, okay, I feel like I do need to read this. However, I don't know. It wasn't fun, but what I would say is that Eternals right now isn't fun, and I feel like it's really wordy, and there's a lot going on, and it's done by Kieran Gillen, and of course it's going to be really, really extra wordy because he's always going to do like person's thoughts and what they're saying, so it goes back and forth between thought and dialogue, which sometimes I don't necessarily like. But I didn't like Eternals issue 1, and then I picked up the later issues and I enjoyed it a little bit more. But it came out this week, and I've heard definitely mixed reviews, and I didn't pick it up. So that tells you how much I really loved Eternals. So I'm torn. I'm like, do I go ahead and give this another shot for issue 2? I'm honestly probably going to wait, and I'm probably just going to read this on Marvel Unlimited. So
yeah,
womp
womp.
womp.
Should we talk about something that we did like this week?
Did we like any? I'm just kidding. We did. I did like a
stuff.
lot. But when it came to Marvel, I feel like there was not. The only other thing that I got from Marvel this week, and I did enjoy it, because I think that it's been, even though it's a new issue, it's wrapped up a lot of stuff in the X universe, and that's Way of X.
Okay.
So it is dealing with a lot of the stuff that's going on, because in Krakoa, you can be brought back, so they're dealing with like how to come back from that. So it's been really interesting, and I feel like there's this conversation with oh my god, I'm calling him Nightcrawler, and he's basically not being forced, but he's being asked to create a religion, or to start basically a set of philosophies for Krakoa. And so I think that's pretty interesting. And of course, I picked up all the covers that I could, because I really all of them.
And that one's done by C. Spurrier too.
This one I thought was Scotty Young. This one is. But...
Oh no, I'm talking about the writer.
Oh yeah. Yep. So I think this one.
It just feels like there's so many X titles right now. Like, we started with just 6. We started with like X-Force and X-Men and New Mutants. Now we have things like X-Corp, X-Factor, Way of X. I'm sure I'm missing another really big one in there. I can't keep track at this point.
X-Factor, X-Force, X-Men. Right now there's also Children of the Atom. Way of X, and of course next week I think we have starting the Hellfire Gala. At least there's like a guidebook to the Hellfire Gala that's coming out, so I'll be picking that up.
Too much.
It's a lot, but for someone like me who does appreciate X-Men, it's a lot, but I think each title is meant to be for a different person, because some people are going to like Marauders, some people aren't going to like Hellions. That's me. I like Marauders, I don't like Hellions. Some people may like Excalibur and not like X-Force. So, you know, it is what it is. But I really, I think that the way that they marketed it, because they give you the Dawn of X trades, and I think trade like 15 just came out, and the Dawn of X trades has like the first issue of all of the series.
Oh, they're awful.
It's super confusing how that is done.
Abby B. Reeds was talking about that on her channel the other day, and I'm just like thinking to myself, I don't know what went through Marvel's head when they thought that that would be an okay way to publish their stories, because it's like, when you're reading something in a trade, you want to be able to read it from start to finish, and if you're basically reading it the way that you would if you were reading it monthly, except I feel like it's even more confusing.
Yeah, I think if you mildly like X-Men, then maybe do the events, but granted, the last big event that there was the 10 of Swords that was going on, and that was picking up 2 or 3 titles each week. There were some really good emotional stories, especially because we get to see this like emotional story with Apocalypse. However, I think that it's overwhelming, kind of like Future State, right? Like, it was a lot picking up 2 or 3 titles each week for like what payoff was there. But I really like X-Men, and
she's an X-ho.
I'm an X-ho. I'm an X-stan. I'm a stan for X. Maybe that'll be the title. Instead of like Way of X, it'll be Stan of X. I'm working on it. Triple X.
I think that means something different.
Oh, okay. I meant in a Triple X in a very wholesome way.
Okay.
Yeah. I don't know what kind of dirty. I assume it's. I'm just kidding. So it was the only other Marvel thing that I got. I mildly liked. I did like this, but I think that if you aren't into what's going on with X-Men, you're not going to pick up Way of X. So I liked it though.
Was that everything you had from Marvel?
I believe so. There might be like another like scrounging around thing here. Okay.
So should we just jump right over, I guess, to the other side then?
Let's do it.
All right. So it's time for us to talk about a book that at least Mars liked this week, and Mars really, really liked this week. And that was Nightwing number 79. Listen, I've been waiting. Oh my God, that cover's so gorgeous.
See, I'm jealous that you have that cover, because I was going to say, can we just all talk about how that cover is going for like $20?
Yeah. So this cover is going for $20 right now. I have no idea why. I mean, other than the fact that it's really, really good. Nightwing 79 has immediately gone to second printing and has an absolutely gorgeous cover right now by Bruno Redondo. Seriously, guys, if you have not seen this cover yet, first of all, go look at it on Bruno's Twitter page. Second of all, tell your shop that you want it, because it's probably one of the dopest covers I've seen in a long time. This book is so, oh my God, this book is great. How do I fucking start with this? People are joking on Twitter that Tom Taylor and Bruno Redondo have single-handedly saved Nightwing. And yes. Well, here's the thing. And let me finish the statement. So I don't think that they've saved Nightwing. I think that they have just made him what we've always wanted him to be. When I think about Nightwing, when I think about the core aspects of his character and his personality, he is the good boy. He is the goodest of boys. You know, he is the golden child. lawful good. He is the golden child. He's there to always help you. He's funny. He's cute and witty. And I feel like creators always try to make him like baby Batman. And he's not. He's not baby Batman. Granted, he does become Batman, but he is not baby Batman. If anything, he's the anti-Batman because he is so light and full of good. Also, yes, his butt. We appreciate his butt. And there's actually some really great dialogue in this book about his butt. Like, I love that Tom Taylor's not afraid to go there. But this, if we were talking about how this felt like Hawkeye with the first issue with 78, this book amplifies it 1,000%. And I found myself reading this issue multiple times, and it's just going to be one of those books, even when it's done and in trade form, it's going to be so good, and it's going to become, I think, legendary for DC. I mean, let's look at this fucking spread. Like,
I'm going to full screen, yeah.
We're going to full screen. Like, I'm like peeking and peeking. Hello. Like, this spread alone, like the fluid action set pieces that Bruno Redondo manages to pull off, and you see stuff like that all throughout the book, like the opening one, you know, where it's him jumping literally off of the panel. Oh, look at that. That's just trash. Let's get rid of that.
Get rid of that page. Just rip it. No, I'm just kidding.
Let's just rip that page off of the $20 book. But like him jumping through his different lives off and onto the panel. This is such a good book, you guys. If you are not reading Nightwing, y'all are honestly crazy. Read Nightwing, even if you've never read Nightwing. If you don't know who Nightwing is, this is honestly, well, 78 is the perfect place for you to jump onto, because this is the book that we've always wanted. I don't know what more to say than that. Like,
I think that it definitely brings Nightwing into a spot where Nightwing, even though he just like inherited a whole bunch of money, spoiler alert, he inherited a whole bunch of money from Alfred. And I feel like it also makes him relatable. And the relationship that he has with Barbara is wholesome, and it doesn't feel like overly sexualized. Wherein, what was that fucking book last year? Three Jokers. It was like, anyways, but I do feel like this makes it relatable for people like you and I who aren't necessarily stuck on how comics have been written for the last like 6 decades. So really
it's
appreciate
just fun.
It really is. And I want to credit 100% Tom Taylor for doing that, and you for, I think, am I now a part of the Tom Taylor Stan Club?
Tom Taylor Stan Club. Listen, Tom Taylor, and we just got announced that Tom Taylor will be taking over the Superman title with Jonathan Kent at the forefront. So at this point, I just want to see Tom Taylor take on the entire DC universe, because we saw what he did with Marvel. And I feel like I've always been preaching that DC is stuck in this mode where every book has this grim, gritty feel and everything feels the same. But then we get books like Nightwing. We have books like Wonder Woman. We have books like Titans Academy right now, which are kind of breaking that and stylizing and spiraling out. And I love that. And listen, I will preach until the day I die. I want Tom Taylor, I mean, on a Green Arrow book, obviously, because we've seen what he did with Injustice. But I need Tom Taylor on a mainline Batman book, because if the fanboys flip the fuck out over Tom King on a Batman book, they're really going to hate Tom Taylor, because he might actually make Batman smile.
Yeah, for sure. I could see that happening, but I think that it would be, I do want to go ahead and say Everyone Ate Pizza. If you have not seen Bearded Comics Bro, on Friday night we joked about, there's a couple of panels in here where everyone is eating pizza like this is their first time eating pizza, and they've only known theoretically how to eat pizza. And so like literally everyone like holding pizza, like eating it different ways. And so Bearded Comic Bro Greg did a fantastic little short video. Highly recommend you check it out on how to eat pizza according to Nightwing. So I'd really appreciate that. I do also want to say Comics Misexplained. So I don't know if you read past the first issue of Seven Secrets in here. I hated issue 1 of Seven Secrets so much when it first came out. I hated it. hated it. And then Mars was like, I'm telling you, it was my favorite book of the year. And I'm like, okay. I picked it up in trade, read it in a trade, literally in like 30 minutes, the entire thing, fell in love with it. I really, really enjoy it now that I read it in trade. So if you only read the first issue, I know it's a $17 investment, but I highly recommend the actual trade because it was pretty darn good, in my opinion, for hating the first issue.
Tom Taylor's just a great guy. Like, I want to meet him so much. Like, all new Wolverine, Nightwing, and I mean, how does this guy who literally came from like I feel like the first like big thing that I remember him doing was the Injustice Gods Among Us comics, which is so dark, so edgy, and yet he manages to take this dark and edgy concept and still make it emotional, still take these characters and give them meaning and purpose and like showcasing characters. Like, who the fuck thinks when they're writing a comic, I'm going to bring Detective Chimp into this and we're going to make him a fully realized character and like shit. And I'm like, Tom Taylor, that's who. So Tom Taylor Stan Club, Tom King Stan Club. We're just going to make the Tom Club. Tom Club. Isn't that a band from the 80s? God.
Yes. So that's it. There it is.
There it is.
Done.
I'm proud of myself for that one.
I'm very proud of that. The other book by DC, I think this was the only other book by DC that I got this week, but Catwoman, written by one of my favorite writers right now, Ram V. I truly have no clue what's going on, but I love it.
I bought it. I still haven't read it, just like I haven't read the other 14 issues that I've been buying.
Yeah, but I mean, like, look at this Jenny Frison cover. It's so beautiful. I love it so much. But it was actually really good. There's this moment, I feel like there's always that moment with a female villain or superhero where they're like, we're going to show her undressing, but you actually see her getting dressed in like this internal monologue. And I appreciate it. It wasn't like creepy or edgelordy. So I really enjoyed it. And I think the artwork is really beautiful. It's done by Blanco. I don't know their first name, but it really reminds me of like Darwin Cook in a way.
Yes.
So I appreciate it. I enjoy it a lot. That's all I got to say.
So I need to catch up is what you're saying.
Yeah. I don't want to like give away too much, but yes, I do think that you should read it.
What else did we read this week? Because I just keep looking at the stack and I'm like, we've talked about so many already, but there's still so many here.
Okay. Speaking of, because we were talking about Seven Secrets a moment ago, and we were talking about how much I hated the first issue. And then I finally read it and giving it a chance, and I really loved it. So the book that I really hated the first issue, gave it another chance, and I really, gosh darn, liked it a lot, and it just ended. I think you know which one.
Crimson Flower.
Crimson Flower, folks.
Okay.
Hated this one so gosh darn much when I first like trashed it. Even me being like, okay, the artwork kind of reminds me of Art Crumb. I guess I can like forgive it for that. No, this book was so good. I'm so glad I picked up the second issue, mostly because of a variant cover. Ended up reading it, and I loved it so much. Oh.
I hated this issue. I hated the way it ended. Here we go. So again, same feelings as Jen. Hated the first issue. Really loved it. First of all, it didn't have the ending that I thought or expected it to. So very upset that my theory was bombed. There were some moments in this issue that like had me like gasp and drop my jaw. I feel like it needed one more issue to round it out. I feel like the ending, after she finally kills the assassin, I feel like it was extremely rushed, and I feel like it just would have benefited from one more issue. So that is probably like my biggest complaint on it. I think I'm going to need to reread the series in full again, but from just reading it month to month, I needed just a little bit more, whether this was an oversized issue or whether it was one more issue. The ending just felt very premature and very rushed.
You know, I do agree with that sentiment. It did feel pretty rushed, especially because after hating the first issue and then just going, I feel like 0 to 100 in the
Yep.
like the second issue, and then so it did end abruptly, and I would have definitely appreciated a fifth issue. I do think that Dark Horse has been doing 4-issue limited runs, so of course they were probably like, you've got to like trim it up. I bet you Matt Kint had a story there that he probably could have kept going, especially because the mythology that is introduced in this, because for anyone who hasn't been like watching the show or hasn't caught us talking about Crimson Flower, it basically is this woman who is brought up as an assassin, but she's also like, her cover is that she's a pharmaceutical
spoiler alert.
Sorry, pharmaceutical person. Anyways,
Pharmaceutical rep, yeah.
And so you see her living this like double life. Anyways, there's this extra mythology that's created, so I would have really appreciated like a whole nother world being introduced and seeing more of that. I would actually really love to see another story set in this world. So if we got like another assassin. Yeah, so if we got another story like that, 100%. So if it was like Indigo Flower or something like that, I don't know, I'm just going off of Crimson. So
yeah, I could see that. I just really thought we were going to play up the whole mental health stuff, especially with going back and forth between the two worlds and with her pill popping, and then we find out that it's just really to kind of keep her under, for lack of a better word. I needed more like backstory into that. Like, you're just it kind of felt like it kind of threw like an ending at me within the last 2 pages. And I'm like, when it ended, I had to look at it, and I was like, I looked at the ending, and I'm like, wait a second, this is how it ends. And one more, man. I need just a little bit more.
So the trade should be coming up for anyone who didn't pick up the single issues, or maybe didn't pick up the single issues because we trashed the first issue. I would still 100% recommend the trade. I don't know if this one will make my like end of year best of the year.
It would have.
If it was a better,
I think it would have
a contender. I think it would be like an honorable mention for best of the year. So
yeah. 100%. So I had another book from Dark Horse that I don't even know what to say about this. So I read Kojikaru the Skinner. It's supposed to be a 1 out of 2 miniseries from Mike Mignola and Christopher Golden and all them boys. I've never really read much of Mike Mignola. I read a Hellboy story once where he eats pancakes and really enjoyed that, and that's about my experience with Mike Mignola. I went into this expecting a sort of like League of Extraordinary Gentlemen type story where it's like a bunch of different like hunters and creatures and this and that. At least that's what I got from the cover. Can I be honest? I can't even tell you what went on in this book because it was so fast and so wordy. I don't know what the plot was. It says Tales from the Outerverse, but from my understanding, this was supposed to be a standalone story. If it was not a standalone story, chat, please correct me. Honestly, it feels very much like Lady Baltimore, which you had talked about a couple weeks ago, where you read it and you're just lost because you don't know what's going on. It felt like this was part of a bigger universe. And again, I was under the impression it was something entirely new. Would not recommend this to anybody because aside from it being confusing, it's ugly.
Oh,
I went there. It's
okay.
Ugly.
I thought I was going to trash a lot of books today, but you got
No, I'm also choosing violence.
Choosing violence. I do want to. There was one book that I know you said you didn't finish it this week, and it was so bad, and I'm so disappointed in myself because this book promised me a lot, and I didn't get it. It did not deliver, and maybe that's my expectations. This book was so, I'm just going to say it, like, even with the artwork not being great.
Wait, I have it. It's summed up under one word. Yikes.
Yeah. Oh.
So if you haven't read You Promised Me Darkness, I only got through the half of the book, and they said yikes in this book 16 times. 16. So I'm sure by the end of it, there's at least another 14 in there. It was yikes.
100% yikes. This book, I feel like I've read the premise of this book before even reading it several times, and I'm like, oh, this is going to be interesting. This is going to be horror. That's right up my alley. And um, there is this character that's telling the story, and like they go back and forth between their telling the story, and I could tell that that was the author's point, right, where they're like, I'm going to have this character be this way and have them telling the story as like an unreliable narrator, but
Okay.
it just seemed like um this character has ADHD, but it felt incredibly jarring to read as a reader because they would be telling the story like it's saying, I could tell you all sorts of stories, like the one about a brother and a sister and a promise. Let's see. Yikes. I'll tell you about that one. It's like, okay, are you gonna fucking tell us, my dude? Like, it did not get anywhere.
No.
This um
And I felt like it
hey
had a
Greg, just
cool.
so you know, this is the we chose violence this week portion. We're trashing everything this week, most
Um,
of it.
and I feel like the promise for You Promised Me Darkness should have been really cool. So from my understanding of it and from my understanding from reading it, it was like Halley's Comet came through or comes through and gives people superpowers and mutations and things like that. And I'm like, okay, I'm in on this. And then we start talking about this like society that they created. And I'm like, okay, we're getting a little bit of Watchmen in here. Okay, I see you. A little bit of Justice Society. Then yeah, Gangnam Style pops up at one point, and I immediately had to put Gangnam Style on while I was reading it, and Gangnam Style ended, and so that's when I stopped reading the book.
Like 2009 called and wanted its like weird pop culture reference back.
I feel like this book might have been written in 2009 and it's finally getting published because it feels so like you said, jarring. Everything about it feels jarring. The artwork is very rough. You know, I'm okay with a black and white story. We saw that with another book from Behemoth, A Girl Walks Home Alone at Night, which was absolutely gorgeous. You know, so it's not a problem with black and white. It's the fact that this was just a bad book. There was no premise, no storytelling, no character interactions, no nothing. And it was just, if it was so bad that I couldn't even finish it. And I almost did that with Kojukaru the Skinner, where I was like, I'm done. I'm not going to finish it. But I pushed through it. I couldn't even do that with You Promised Me Darkness. And this book has already gone to second printing. So there is hype surrounding this book. And listen, if you don't want to pay eBay prices, just DM me. DM me and I will send this to you. It was bad. Just take my copy. You don't want it. I promise. And it's a shame because you promised.
You promised me a better story, and I didn't get it at all.
And it's a shame because Behemoth has been publishing some really decent stuff. Like I said, we got A Girl Walks Home Alone at Night. We got what's the other one? Necromorphos. Necromorphos.
I didn't read that one.
The first issue that was pretty good, but then we had Steambound, which was also by Behemoth, and that was awful. So we're like 2 for 2 right now. I think I've got like another 2 coming out from Behemoth within the next couple months. So fingers crossed. And I always feel bad publishing a smaller, publisher like this. So I don't know, y'all.
Yeah. The trade for A Girl Walks Home Alone at Night was $10. So I think that if the trade for this is $10, I might try to sell my single issues and then end up getting that one, but we'll see. Greg, we have not covered any of those. I plan to cover, I know that I read all 3 of those, so we'll definitely talk about those. And do you want to go, oh, hey, Bearded, thank you.
We just talked about your pizza.
We were just talking about your pizza video. I hope you don't mind, Greg, giving you some homework, but I just gave you a wrench. Greg, if you would like to drop a link to your Nightwing pizza video, I would really appreciate it because it's fantastic. So anyways, do you want to go ahead and talk about Image then? Give the people what they want?
Let's talk about Image. Which one should we start with? I want to start with the one that made me scream this week. And not in a good way. I'm going to say not in a good way. So Stray Dogs #3 came out. This book, oh, all right. I'm gonna try and say it without spoiling it because it was a banger, if you will. See what I did there? It's a banger. No. If you read this book, you know exactly what I'm talking about. And listen, me and Jen were talking about this backstage. What happens in this particular issue is something that, you know, we were kind of expecting to happen in a book like this, but then to actually see it happen, kind of ruins my entire life. And oh, I love this book so much, but I'm also very, very upset with this book. So we see the dogs continue to kind of try to solve the mystery. Yet another dog gets involved now and gets his memories, and we get to see his backstory. And he's just a little 3-legged Dalmatian, and he's just a little baby. And this book, it's getting darker and darker, guys. Like, it started off kind of sweet and kind of simple.
Yeah.
And it feels like every issue is getting progressively darker and darker. And that makes me worried with upcoming issues because, like I keep saying, with what happens at the end, if we go to that point, you know, how much further are you willing to, you know, Yep, 100%. Yep. That's how I felt. So, spoiler there. Put the puzzle pieces together. I actually just submitted my dog's picture. So I'm hoping that she ends up in Stray Dogs, but at the same time, I'm like, I don't want to.
Yeah. When this first came out, because it was basically pitched as Lady and the Tramp meets A Silence of the Lambs. And I'm like, okay, this is going to be like a serial killer, like really dark, but really romantic. And I feel like it wasn't really that. It did not, I expected it to be more like horror, psychological thriller. And it's so much more wholesome than I expected.
But we're getting there.
But we're getting there. And so now I feel like issue number 3 was the one that I was like, okay, this is getting really dark. Shit is hitting the fan and it's getting really intense. I love it, but I also hate it so much.
It does. It makes you sit there and you're just like, oh no, like it's like that don't go into the basement type feeling where it's like, yeah, I just want to go in there and help them. That's all I want to do in my life.
I'm going to go ahead and full screen this so everyone can see.
And I absolutely love this part of the book is that people submit photos of their dogs, and I spend way too much time looking at these pictures. Let's be honest.
Yeah. I want to be friends with every single one of these dogs so bad. And they even have their names. Like there's one named Duck, and there's one named Mackenzie, there's one named Stan Lee. So it looks like there's also, did I see 2 that was named Hannibal? There's one named Hannibal, one named Clarice. So, you know, wholesome. Another one named Goose. It's adorable. So, you know, if you enjoy getting your heart broken and ripped apart, check out Stray Dogs, but it's also really good. Greg also did drop a link, thank you Greg, to his video where he eats pizza really awkwardly because that's how the artist of Nightwing decided to choose people eating pizza. Seriously, like I've watched that video like 5 times.
It's great. It's fantastic. It ruined my Nightwing reading experience because I immediately had to go back and carefully dissect everything. But thank you for bringing it to light, and thank you for ruining my life. Yeah. That's our friendship.
Yeah. There were a couple other Image books. I know that I read Post Americana. Maybe it's because I briefly read issue number 4, and then I'm like, oh, let me go ahead and read issue 5, and I'm like, wait, what the fuck is happening in Post Americana? Basically, I feel like they pulled some shit. What's that Jim Carrey movie, The Truman Show? I feel like they pulled some Truman Show stuff in here. It's so weird. And I'm like, okay, issue 1 and 2 I felt like were really weird because it's like Mad Max meets Cronenberg, and then this one is like Mad Max meets Truman Show. I don't know. It's weird and I like it.
Now you're definitely making me want to pick it up when it comes to trade, because that is arguably one that I looked at and I was like, oh, this doesn't look interesting. But you describing it as Mad Max, which is one of my favorite things in the entire world, and then The Truman Show, I'm like, okay, I definitely want to pick this up.
Yeah. The first couple of issues are not what is this whatsoever. This one took a turn, so I don't know if they're gonna I can't remember if this one's a limited series or not. I'm like 99% sure it is, but we'll see. There was another book I know you said that you didn't like. I really liked it, and it reminded me a lot of King of Nowhere. But I know you said that you didn't like this issue.
Haha. Number
Ha,
four. Number
ha,
four.
ha.
I fucking listen. I fucking hated this issue.
Loved it.
It's very strong words that I'm using here in the chat, but I fucking hate it. Listen, y'all were listen, hear me out. Y'all were being so rude and so cruel to haha number three. Number three? Number three. Y'all were being so rude to haha number three with the mime, and it was my absolute favorite issue. Also, hi. Also, real quick, plug. CE Man. Listen, we did an awesome show, pre-recorded show. A lot of people thought it was live, and they were like, "Oh, we missed it." And I'm like, "No, you didn't." He's absolutely wonderful. Please go and check out his channel. E-Man, if you're here, please drop your link because we had a blast and talked about comics coming out this week. And E-Man needs more followers because he's ridiculously cool and nice. And I know Jen also did a show with E-Man. So we just love you so much, and we're gonna have you on the show one day, and it's gonna be a blast.
I also really appreciate because E-Man, you did a talked about how Layla Starr was one of your favorites of the week, and we are going to talk about that. I want to save that for last for reasons.
Of course she does.
So
for reasons. But we're talking about haha. So you guys ragged on haha number 3 with my little mime boy, and I fucking love that book. And then I go into haha number 4, and I'm like, what the hell is happening? I still don't know what is happening. I think my dumb goldfish brain can't comprehend it because I feel like I needed to get really, really high and then read this book. And then I would maybe be able to comprehend it. Like at one point, he's riding a tiger with wings, and I just keep thinking about that Cards Against Humanity card where it's David Bowie flying in on a flying tiger with laser beams or whatever. And I'm like, what the hell is happening with? And then at one point, he's this felt like a really bad acid trip, and I don't understand any of it. If you understand it, please explain it to me. Give me some philosophical reasoning to it, because I don't get it. I'm sorry.
I understand that it made no sense, but here's where I'm at, because I read King of Nowhere by W. Maxwell Prince, and this felt like an extra page from that. So King of Nowhere is basically I feel like I'm not doing justice to the premise of King of Nowhere, but it's basically someone wakes up and walks into this bar and weird shit's happening, and there's a salmon dude, and there's like just weird stuff happening. And the artwork is by Tyler Jenkins, and I think Hillary Jenkins' wife, I assume wife. I don't know. Maybe they're sisters. Maybe they're sister wives. I don't know. Love is weird, but it was weird, and it was one of my favorite books last year, King of Nowhere. So I feel like having read W. Maxwell Prince's King of Nowhere set me up for issue number 3, 4, 3, 4. I really liked it, even though I had no clue what was going on. It kept making references to it.
Yep.
So I appreciated that. And up. It and up. And up and it.
Didn't make any sense. I will say I still love this series. Don't get me wrong, guys. I still love this series, and the fact that there was one bad issue isn't going to make me love it any less. Just give me next month, because I really want that grandma issue. I really hope I think that's going to be the best issue. At least I'm hoping, but it's hard, man, because issue 3, Little Mime Boy, it's my favorite.
Oh, that one was so good. Yeah, I appreciated the weirdness. I really like just weird and wacky books like this, and this hit all of the marks for me. I still think that issue number 1 has been my favorite so far of the series. Issue 2 I liked. Issue 3 I liked. This one I really liked. So,
yeah, fair enough.
Yeah.
It's no longer what's your
Watching.
zodiac sign. It's now what is your favorite issue of Haha that determines your personality.
100%. Sleepy Reader, I picked up a couple months ago, 1 week in the library, and I have yet to read it. So I probably will definitely go back and try to read it at some point. My to be read stack gets bigger and bigger. It's tragic. But I'll definitely try to read that and maybe reread Haha in this one. Who knows?
Haha.
Haha.
I know there was another image title that somebody wanted you to talk about this week, and it was one of your favorites. At least the first issue was, and that's Super Mega,
Ultra Mega,
Super Mega. So it's all one, mega.
It really is. So this one is, I feel like if you had not liked Haha issue 4 because it was kind of weird. If you did you read issue 1 of Ultra Mega? Mm-mm. Okay, so this one does like a weird time jump. It's still gory and it's still weird and it's still fun. And this one just immediately to me looks like I keep seeing this as not an arm that's going into their mouth. Oh. And so I keep seeing it as R-rated. So anyways, it's still weird, it's still bloody, but it does this weird like time jump. So I think that if you haven't read issue 1 and you didn't pick this up, pick up the trade because it's one of the most beautiful. It's
definitely on my list.
It's so beautiful and I absolutely love this so much, but it does do a time jump and I think that's confusing. I'm kind of ready to see it do another time jump in the 3rd issue, but I'm gonna let this book take me wherever it's going. It can do what it pleases because it's so weird and it hits so many like monsters and just weird like
E-Man just described it as Mad Max-ish, and now I'm like, all right, y'all got me. I'm here.
Mad Max meets like Akira Ultraman type vibes.
Ooh.
So yeah. Really, really appreciate it. And the artwork is just, it blows my mind. It has, R-rated kaiju pretty much. The artwork
y'all making me want to pick it up now.
It's beautiful. It's absolutely stunning. This book is so incredible. It gets really bloody and it's just, I'm trying to see if I can like, I'm gonna full screen myself. Hopefully you can see this. So you see I'm like getting smaller. And so I like the artwork in this a lot. I'm trying to get to one of the very colorful pages.
But that is cool as hell.
Yeah.
It almost reminds me of a more... And I mean, it's hard to say because I feel like this is already a more adult, but like a more adult, more serious Kaiju Max. I don't know if that's one that you have ever read, but I've read a couple of issues of Kaiju Max, and that was definitely one of the more bizarre titles in this universe for sure, 100%.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
But that's really Ultra Mega number 2.
Yep, loved it. There was one other image book that I have here, and I know that you want to talk about it.
Oh, listen, the way that you're going to talk about Layla Starr is the way that I'm going to talk about
Old Guard. Go for it. You got it.
This is the book that I've literally been waiting for since it was announced. I recently fell in love, like obsessed with the Old Guard. And it's ironic because it's a book that I've had sitting on my shelf for years and was always very intimidated because it's a Greg Rucka book. And we all know that my dumb baby brain does not mix well with Greg Rucka stuff, unless it's Batwoman. But I fell in love with the Old Guard. I fell in love with all the characters and the movie and immediately wanted more Old Guard. And the idea of an anthology series is perfect because if you're not aware of Old Guard, the Old Guard is about a series of soldiers who literally have lived for thousands and sometimes millions of years and can't die. And so it's about them evolving with time and with people and with each other. And this has 2 stories in it. This has 2 very different stories in it. And I feel like each Old Guard is going to be, yes, these are very good jumping on books because they take the characters and they kind of, isolate them, and they tell more stories. And I feel like they're going to introduce more characters into it that we haven't seen in the mainline stories. Also, I love the Old Guard because it's very, very gay. It's got one of the best relationships in comics I have ever seen. And me and Jen have talked about this particular scene a million times on this channel. It has just fantastic characters. Like Greg Rucka, I feel like focuses more on plot and not always on character interactions. But in the Old Guard, I feel like he focuses more on that. And it's a new side from Greg Rucka that we don't get to see a lot. And I just love all of the characters. And I love Andy and I love Niles. And they're great. Just read this book. Listen, you won't regret it. Read the book.
I feel like if I could, like, my feelings about Old Guard is that I think that if you haven't watched the Netflix movie, please go ahead and watch it. I would highly recommend companioning it with the trade, the first Old Guard trade. I think it's one of the $9.99 ones from Image Comics. And the premise could easily be one that is pitched by a new writer, right? So it's warriors that live forever, like we got with Berserker. But I think that it is so it's
so much better.
It's so much. So we get to see these characters and how they are ancient people and how what they have gone through affects their day to day, right? And it does the plot beautiful justice. So you get to see how these characters would interact in modern type war and technology, while also making them flawed characters, but flawed characters that you're still rooting for. Like I feel like especially with Andy, like flawed, but you still appreciate. So I think I can't remember the actress's name.
Charlize Theron,
Charlize Theron, who is beautiful. 100% does that. Like, I'm an angry bitch, but I'm an angry bitch because I've been an immortal warrior for my whole life and I've lost everyone that I've loved and blah blah blah. So anyways, it's really good.
It's really good. So Old Guard Tales Through Time, because I'm serious, we could rant about Old Guard forever.
Yeah.
Has two very different stories in it. And surprisingly enough, the one I attached to more is not the gay story. So we'll talk about that first. So this has a story from Greg Rucka, and I think his name is Gabriel Fernandez. No, I'm sorry, Leandro Fernandez. And this is the original creative team behind Old Guard. And it's a mini story that follows Andy and her axe. Because if you watch the movie, if you've read the book, Andy is known for having this giant Scythian axe. And it's literally her talking about how she's had this axe since the beginning of time. And it basically is telling the history and the story of her axe. Because Niles, her companion, is like, you're literally millions of years old. There is no way that this axe is the same axe that you had when you were, a million years ago. And it's just a really interesting story and that's the other thing about Old Guard is it should not be as interesting as it is. It should seem like a very dull story, but it's very interesting.
I would say when it comes to the story with the axe, I think that what they were trying to do there, and this was clearly written before WandaVision, but it's going into that whole ship of Theseus. If you take apart the ship of Theseus and you restore it, and then you put the original pieces one by one in a museum, which is the ship of Theseus? Philosophy. I feel like it's kind of doing that. It's like
it was the same thing.
It was literally the same thing with the axe, because the character, she's like, this is my axe. I saw it being forged, but it's not the same one. And she's like, yes, it is. Shut up. Ship of Theseus. So that's what I have to say about it. That's all I got to say about it.
Yep. And then we get a follow-up story. I just love that. I didn't even realize that until you said that. And then we get another follow-up story. And I feel like this caught me off guard because off guard, get it? Ha ha ha.
Ooh, the off guard.
The off guard. I think it kind of hit me off guard because it hit you with that first story and it's the same creative team. So it literally felt like I was just reading the Old Guard and I was reading more of the Old Guard. Whereas The second story is when we start to hit that anthology. It's a completely different creative team, but it still is very good, and it still keeps the character at our core. So it follows Joe and Nikki, who's another part of the main cast in the previous Old Guard. Now, again, you can pick up this book without reading the mainline series, but it follows Nikki and Joe. And Nikki and Joe are eternal lovers and super gay, and we love them. I am not better than that, Greg, but thank you for believing in me. But we learn from Nikki and Joe that it almost seems like through history, they have always gone in to protect queer people and are always there to rise to the occasion and always find themselves getting into trouble. And it's literally just the premise is, you know, I'd like to have one night out where we are not causing a mess and we're not causing a ruckus. Like, can't we just have one good date with one another? And it's like, no, we have to save people. We have to do this and that. And it was just a really nice story that, you know, I get to see more Nikki and Joe, and I love Nikki and Joe, and I love seeing their love for each other. So
especially because this story like jumps a little bit in time, like it
jumps backwards
a little bit. I appreciated that. I really do want there's a shirt from Redneck by Image Comics that says, I'm here, I'm queer, I'm
queer,
fucking
and I'm immortal.
And I really just want to see them wearing that Redneck shirt, or like maybe like reading that. So like, can I get a crossover, an Image crossover?
Okay, I'm gonna immediately
can someone draw this for us?
No, I'm gonna immediately, now you're making me want to go and DM Leandro Fernandez and be like, hey, can I hire you for a commission for this very weird specific thing?
Yeah.
Here, help me go fund money so that way we can get this as a print. And we'll just sell it in the shop. It'll be a part of the Casually Comics merchandise line. Yay! No, Old Guard Tales Through Time. It's only 6 issues, which makes me sad because I want more Old Guard, and Old Guard is still running. Its main series is still running. We're just waiting for part 3.
Yeah, I think that the second volume came out last year, and it came out right before or right after the Netflix movie came out.
It came out after the movie, so the movie actually spoiled the comic, which I was a little upset about. But
spoiler alert!
Spoiler alert! It's still very good, and the way that volume 2 ends, it's like I need volume 3 immediately. And while I'm like, hey, I see you trying to give me this anthology to tide me over. Oh, good to know. But read Old Guard. Listen, I don't know what you want from me, y'all. Just please read the fucking Old Guard and just. I waited. It's one of my biggest regrets in comics. Like, it sounds silly, but it is. It's one of my biggest regrets in comics because it sat on my shelf for years and I didn't touch it because I was too afraid of it. And then it ended up becoming probably one of my favorite things Image has ever published.
I think especially it can feel.
It looks scary. Like when you open it up, it looks terrifying.
And especially because I feel like I said, the premise of the book is basically it's warriors who are immortal. And so like it could almost be like, I feel like I've heard this story before a million times and it hasn't been done very well. This is actually done really, really well. Really well. I think that's it for Image that I have, but I have lots of other stuff.
Should we talk about another book that we really, really liked?
I know which one you're.
Damn, we are one brain cell always, and I love it. So this is Alice in Leatherland from Black Mask Comics, and let me tell you, it just feels so good to see Black Mask publishing regularly again because they took like a 3-year hiatus. So I'm really glad that they're back. Do you want to take it away on this one?
Yeah. So I will go ahead and say this book was so wholesome yet so filthy and dirty.
It's Sunstone all over again.
It's Sunstone. Like I knew. So when I saw the premise for Alice in Leatherland, there's basically a children's author who ends up delving into the world of like BDSM. And it's actually really cute. The main character, I forget her name, but Alice. Oh, fucking A, dude.
I didn't want to call you out like that, but
okay. This is why we share one brain cell. So the name had to go into yours for a second. Boy howdy. So anyways, Alice ends up finding out that her partner is cheating on her, and she's at this moment where she's like, I need a change in life, and this person is talking to her like, okay, you can like come with me and like move to San Francisco or something, and she's like, no, I can't, sorry, and then catches her partner cheating, ends up moving like immediately,
I'm saying
and
fuck it,
saying,
basically.
yeah, just okay. Ends up moving into this commune where there are several different sex workers who live there, who all participate in very delicious looking fun things. Like I said, it was very wholesome and very spicy at the same time. It was very kind of R-rated at moments.
It was. So I have a lot of feelings on this because there's just a bunch of feelings. So I was telling Jen backstage, you know, as I was reading this book, I'm like, the artwork in this feels very familiar. It's got a very Homesick Pilots vibe to it,
Oh,
in a way. But I'm like sitting there and I'm like, this artwork, I've seen it before, but I didn't recognize the name. And then I realized that I have followed this artist on Twitter. It is Elisa Romboli. I have followed them on Twitter for literal years because they did Overwatch fan art that was very spicy and I very much enjoyed. And then they were posting about it. I'm like, holy shit, wait, it's the same person. But Jen is completely right. It is very wholesome. It almost feels like like those slice of life mangas that you read, like those slice of life
yes.
romance mangas where you're just having a good time. It's really wholesome, but it's gonna get a little filthy. And I'm just really, if you were hesitating picking this one up, I think you definitely should, because I went into this being like, this was a last minute addition onto my special orders. And I was like, Alice in Leatherland, this is either going to be really stupid, really freaky, or really great. And it ended up being the latter. It was really, really great.
Yeah.
And the first issue, I will say we do only get a tease into Leatherland, if you will. And I can't wait for more. It's just going to be fantastic. 100%.
100%. Yeah, I'm excited for it. I think that this will.
I'm going to add it to my pull list, I think.
I think that this will be a book that a lot of people should pick up and trade, especially like people like me, where I feel like I need a little bit of like everything in my life. Like I need to read Smut Peddler comics, and I also need to read Transformers My Little Pony. So this like fills all of those things like simultaneously.
But it does have that Sunstone feeling where it's like I go into it expecting something very spicy and something very, very dirty, and it ends up being very wholesome. And we're only on issue 1.
Yeah. Greggy makes a really good point. I love it when the topic of sex work and kink and art is actually the dimension and real. 100% back to Sunstone. So,
100%.
I need to step away for just a second. Do you want to talk about Luna really quick? I will. Sorry, I know I'm like putting the pressure on you. I'm gonna step away for just 1 second. I want you to talk all the things about this book.
All right, I'm going to talk about Luna. Where do we talk about Luna, guys? So we are on issue number 3 of Luna, and I don't have the spicy cover that Jen has, and that makes me sad because it has Spiritual Boyfriend. Issue number 3 of Luna. I have determined this. I really loved issue 1, y'all. I really did. I absolutely loved issue 1. This is not. We're 3 issues in. This is not a good book at all. I was going to call her Mirka Andolfo, but that's not Mirka Andolfo. This is Maria Lovett. Maria Lovett has now aligned herself with Mirka Andolfo in terms of the writer-artist combo where they can't do both. They can only do one. I don't know what's happening with this issue at all. If I am being quite honest with you, the only reason why I was able to even finish issue number 3 of Luna is because Spiritual Boyfriend finally comes into the mix. This book, listen, if you are like me and you have been pining over Spiritual Boyfriend since issue 1, this issue was made for you, just like it was made for me. But other than, I don't know what happened. I know that they transported to some secret realm where they did the nasty and they did the do. And I was like, I wish that I was like this person. Also, Jen came in at a wonderful
I came in
time.
when you were like, they did the nasty and they did the do.
They did the nasty. And I'm like, I wish I was with spiritual boyfriend right now. But there is something about this issue in particular that kind of creeped me out, because she's having sex with the golden blonde boy. But I mean, and she's physically having sex with him, but mentally she's not there. Mentally she is with spiritual boyfriend. And in the end, we kind of get this conversation where she accidentally says, I love you, which you just met spiritual boyfriend. But at the same time, I said the same exact thing where I was like, oh, spiritual boyfriend, I love you. So I can't say anything on that. But it almost feels like we can have a conversation of, and I feel weird saying this and going there, but it feels like we can have the conversation of rape, because it feels like she is not willingly having, relations with the blonde-haired, blue-eyed boy.
That's kind of how I felt about the first issue, because they do have sex under the influence. And I'm not saying that I feel like not that there's, I want to say not that there's anything wrong with that, but I feel like consent wasn't given while having sex under the influence. And so I feel like that felt very cringy. And considering that I expected there to be a lot less cringeworthy moments in this, considering how cringy Faithless felt.
And the fact that Brian Azzarello is exited from the equation, but maybe the villain was Maria Lovett all along.
Yeah. I mean, I do appreciate the hot, steamy sex that does happen in this book. Like, don't get me wrong. There is so much
spiritual boyfriend.
Yeah.
If this issue did not have, spiritual boyfriend as much as it did and as intimate as it did, I possibly would have dropped this from my pull list.
Mm-hmm.
And it makes me sad because, in my mind, I'm like, okay, well, this is only 4 issues. I'm already halfway there. Let's just keep going. JK, y'all, because Boom thought it would be okay to extend Luna to issue 5. And I'm like, why? Yeah. You're just going to keep dragging me in. I'm going to keep being trapped. I'm going to be trapped like Luna in this weird dimension.
Yep. I bet they're also going to do a really cool variant covers. So not only am I going to be like, okay, I guess I have to pick this up, I'm going to end up picking up 2 extra covers than I should.
I just love that cover that you have though by Chris Anka. It is just, listen, that's.
Don't worry. There's one coming your way, BB.
It's going to be framed. It's going to be beautiful.
Yeah. I have a couple more to talk about. That's not
you have one from Boom that you really want to talk about, but I know you want to save that for last. That's the only one that I have. Okay. You have more?
Yes. I will go through these books really, really quickly. At least, I won't try to get too much into them. But Girls of Dimension 13, fucking hated. I thought it was going to be The Craft and stuff like that. But when I compare this to other stories that came out recently, like The Unkindness of Ravens, and even though it's not really witchy stuff going on, but The Autumnal, I didn't like this. The artwork didn't do it for me. The writing didn't do it for me. Sorry.
Is that Cullen Bunn?
No,
it feels
Graham
every
Nolan.
Okay, because it feels like every time I turn around, Cullen Bunn is announcing 12 more projects, and I'm just like, God damn, dude, where the hell do you get all this time and energy?
Well, I think that when you're a writer like that, you don't take as much time as an artist does. So maybe that's the only thing that I could think of. Sorry, I'm going to take a sip really quick.
Sponsored by Pals. I see that.
Yeah. Even though, oh man, I was hoping, I'm kind of mad at Pals right now. Pals, please recall your workers and respect union rights. So
do it.
Hey, Real Rude 6, thank you for being here. So talking about some of the other indie comic books that I got this week, I ended up picking up Godzilla. I thought this was almost going to be an Aliens, but it's done by IDW. This is Kids Bop version of Godzilla. Do not go into this thinking that it's going to be
Kids Bop version of Godzilla.
Wow. And I actually,
that's rough.
So it's so funny. Maybe it's because I just saw lyrics for like I don't know if it's real or not, but like Kids Bop version of
Oh, the Kids
WAP
Bop
by
Wop.
Cardi. Kids Bop WAP. Kids WAP.
Kids Wop.
Yeah.
Kids Wop.
Yeah. So anyways, this Godzilla, it was cute. I feel like this is going to be a really cute, like collected edition. Like I could see them putting like a little cute little trade together
Make
for
it
this.
for kids.
So I liked it, but I went into it expecting it not to be a kid's book, but I still really like this cover a lot.
That
So
is a nice cover. But
yeah.
I feel like that cover could be extremely misleading if that's the only one you see on the shelf.
For sure. Still really cute though. Let's see here. I Walk with Monsters, number 5. I feel like it's kind of actually getting somewhere, but I think that there's one more issue. I did pick up the A cover in the Jen Hickman version. Really appreciate their artwork. So I've been liking that series. It deals a lot with emotional trauma from physical abuse and how you can let yourself become a monster while fighting the monsters. But then if a serial killer kills serial killers, there's still an equal amount of serial killers in the world. I don't know. I'm trying to get philosophical with
That's
it.
an
And
interesting conversation to have.
yeah. But it's still pretty interesting. So I think at this point, issue number 5 came out. If that sounds fun, pick up the trade. I also picked up the penultimate issue of Tarna, Tarna, the last Tarakian.
She's gorgeous. She's a babe. She's
Yeah.
just, listen, babe of my heart, babe of my life.
And I really appreciate the Chris Ward covers. It's really fun. It's really beautiful. And a lot more maybe of an emotional story than I expected from heavy metal. But
really?
Yeah.
I picked up issue 1 and enjoyed it, but not enough to pick up the single issue. So that was one I was definitely going to be picking up in trade. So now I'm really looking forward to that because I feel like she could be my new Red Sonja. Now that I'm not reading Red Sonja because Dynamite is still a poopy butthead, and I'm very upset with them, and I miss Red Sonja.
I will also say, and if Greg is still in the chat, which I see he just commented, but it's done by your girl Stephanie Phillips. So I'm really surprised, Greg. I'm not sure if you're reading this one, but I really like it. Another one that I really liked, this one I think ended this series, Knock 'Em Dead by Aftershock, which was a really surprising read. Basically, a stand-up comedian ends up doing a one night stand stand-up comedy, and he sucks at it so bad, but then he gets possessed and he's all of a sudden really good at it. It trigger warning, it does deal with a lot of like drug abuse, which is, from what I understand, very rampant in like stand-up comedy, I guess. I don't know. This one was really good, and this one hit my heart this week.
It's another one that when it's compiled and it should be coming out soon, definitely going to be picking it up.
Last one that I have on my, not last one, Orphan and the Five Beasts. I really liked it. It deals a lot with Thunder Thighs.
And I didn't get a chance to read it. You were yelling at me to read it. So if you guys don't know, occasionally on our Instagram, I show, text between me and Jen. Okay. I also made a very rad Thunder Thighs reference, which, by the way, Dark Horse commented on. So, okay, that's where our fame stands right now, as us making jokes about Thunder Thighs. Yeah. But Jen texted me and was like, did you pick up Orphan and the Five Beasts number 2? And I'm like, no. Should I? And she's like, yes. I'm like, Jen, is there a thick, beefy woman? You are legally obligated to tell me if there is a thick, beefy woman. And she was like, no, but it's all about Thunder Thighs, which is my new scumbag husband. He doesn't even get boyfriend status. He's going straight to husband. This book has been great, but you said issue 2 was even better than the first one.
It really is. I feel like where the first issue definitely does do a lot of the plot building, world building, this one goes a little bit more into the character, and just like sometimes the first issue can be really rad and the second issue is kind of meh. This one was really, really good. And once again, I think that this is a limited series. And can we just talk about how James Sticco is killing it? Literally writing, drawing, coloring,
Lettering.
maybe lettering, maybe designing. I don't know, but this is really good. Another one of my favorites by Dark Horse. So
here it comes, guys. I hope y'all ready for it.
This is my favorite book.
Jen has literally been waiting to talk about this book for 3 weeks now because she got to read an advanced copy.
Thanks to you.
Aw, it's only because I go into people's DMs and be like, "Hey, give me copies, gimme. But no, seriously, please be respectful. And only go into people's DMs if they invite you to.
Yeah. Unless it's for unsolicited dick pics. I'm just kidding. Never ever do that unless they're solicited.
Okay, so my camera's definitely not going to pick this up because I ended up picking up. First of all, can we talk about the fact, before even going into this, let's talk about this. The fact that Boom was like, fuck it. I love you guys so much. I'm going to give you this super shiny variant cover. I wasn't even going to get this cover. I was going to get the main cover until I went into my shop and realized it was shiny. And like a goldfish, I was like, shiny. All right, Jen, go ahead. Take it away. How do you feel about Layla Starr?
So, like you all know, I got an advanced copy thanks to your beautiful handiwork, and I've been screaming about it ever since. I really hope everyone picked it up because seriously, it's such a good book. If you didn't get a chance to pick it up, I know that the second printing is coming out in like a week or two. But seriously,
it sold out before the book even came out.
Yep. I know that when I was there on Wednesday, Books with Pictures still had a couple copies. I know, Scott, you said that you got to pick up the Foily Boy because they ended up having some. Immediately added to my pull list. This book. I know I keep just like raving and ranting about how good it is, but I'll go ahead and say. So it's basically about this girl, this woman who is death, who is responsible for, I don't know if she's responsible for killing people, but she's just like the archetype of death. She gets pulled into the office and her boss wants to have a conversation because she's getting fired. And so in order for her to get fired, she has to go into a mortal body and experience mortality. So she's going to die. And she's upset because she's like, I've been doing my job really, really good. And I've been doing it basically forever. So please keep me on the payroll, folks. She ends up going into the body of someone. I don't know if it's implied that they die by suicide, but they end up jumping out of a window, falling out of a window. And she wakes up in the body of this person, Layla Starr. The reason why she ends up basically getting fired from her job is because the boy who will cure mortality, so invents immortality, I guess, among mortals, is being born. And so she's like, I'm going to go into this body. She ends up in the body at the same hospital as this boy that's being born and goes to kill him.
And then can't, because spoiler alert, it's a baby.
It's a baby. So she's like, and I forget the baby's name, but she's like, why'd you name him? Like, I can't kill him now that you've told me what his name is. So anyways, spoiler alert. I mean, you could probably tell from the cover, she dies again. She wakes up. Oh, I'm not even going to spoil it. But this book was so good. The artwork was so beautiful. The colors are beautiful. The lettering is beautiful.
It was a good book. It was very good. I don't love it nearly as much as you do. And the reason why I think that is because this book literally screams Sandman. It feels like a modern take on Sandman, which is Jen's favorite, as she's whispering to us. It feels like a modern take on Sandman, because before we get into the mortal realm, when we're still in this godly realm and spiritual realm, we're seeing all of these different emotions, feelings, whatever you want to call it, personified. You know, we see death personified. We see taxes personified, which I thought was really fucking hilarious as somebody who works in taxes. Fun story about my job. It just felt very Neil Gaiman,
yes.
But feeling very Neil Gaiman, with feeling very modernized. It feels like a really great blend between Sandman and another book that we absolutely hate called Carmen. This is definitely the book you want to be picking up out of the two, 100% for sure. I personally struggled with it a little bit because it's very, very dense in the beginning. It also doesn't help that I read this book in between Women of Marvel, Valkyries, You Promised Me Darkness, and Kuchikara the Skinner. So I feel like it kind of set me off into a bad mood. But Layla Starr has a very, very interesting premise. Ram V once again continues to just take. I personally love his creator-owned stories more than his superhero stuff. While I agree that he does kill it on things like Swamp Thing and Catwoman and Justice League Dark, I think when he is able to just do what he wants, and I think more specifically we're looking at like These Savage Shores. For you, it was Blue and Green.
Blue and Green.
You know, when he can just do what he wants and create this masterful story that has a very large conversation, you know, this is where he thrives. And it's going to be a good one. I feel like it's definitely going to be Eisner it's an Eisner contender for sure.
Even without that, this book is 100% on my I already know it's going to be one of my favorite books of the year. So, you know, in what month is it now? It's almost May. So in like 7 months time, I'll be like doing a yearly wrap up. This book may not even be finished by then because it's a 10 issue limited series, I think, or is it 8? So it may not be finished by the end of the year. But I could probably delve into the mythology of this world. I do, and that's
There's
the thing.
A lot there.
I think that is why this book reminds me a lot of Sandman, is because I think that what Gaiman was doing in the late 80s, playing with that like mythology, but in a familiar type way. Like we know the mythologies, but it's somehow different. So the way that he played with that, I really appreciate, and I totally got that. But from a completely different perspective and a completely different mythology that wasn't obviously like culturally appropriative. Seriously, I love The Many Deaths of Layla Starr. If you haven't already, please, please, please pick it up. I want this issue to go to like 8th printing, if I have to sell it even more, if you're not going to read it, if I can appeal to the speculators. Like if you take a look at Boom, no, seriously, I'm pitching this to people who buy comics and don't read them. If you think about the popularity of issue number 1s by Boom Studios, Once and Future, Something is Killing the Children. These books you can literally flip in a couple, like if you bought issue 1 a couple years ago, you can now flip Something is Killing the Children number 1 for like several $100s. Just pick this up even to think about flipping it. There's my pitch.
There's her pitch. So, Jen, what was your favorite book of the week? Was it a book called, I think it was You Promised Me Darkness?
You Promised Me Darkness was clearly my favorite.
Marvel might have also been a contender for you this week.
Womp womp.
Womp womp.
Definitely Layla Starr. Like I said, I really want everyone to read it. Please, please, please pick this up. Refunds are not accepted.
Refunds are not accepted.
Yeah.
So that is everything that we picked up this week. It was a heavy week, for sure. But wait, there's more, because you know our dumb bitch selves have to hit up the libraries and hit up bookshops and spend way too much money, even when they spend $70+ at a comic shop. So did you pick up any additional fun stuff this week?
I did. I'm trying to think of what it was now. I picked up a book called Gorilla Green, which is basically a
some fun-looking shit this week, now that I'm remembering your Instagram post.
Yep, I picked up a couple of anthologies. Oh, they're right here. Cool. Well,
here, while you're pulling yours, I'll go over what I bought, you'll go over what you bought, and then we'll talk library hauls. So Jen bought anthologies. I found myself at a bookstore again and spent $60 on manga yet again, because apparently that's just what happens when you read manga. So last week I talked about this little book called Sweat and Soap, which is like a cheesy romance josei novel. Read it, immediately went and bought the rest of the series. So there are 5 books in the series. So I bought all 5. It's just a really nice, fun, wholesome little semi-smutty book, but I just love the characters in this book because they're really quirky, they're really funny. I just like their personalities together. I don't know. Not for everybody, of course, but I'm having a lot of fun with it. I picked up volumes 2 and 4 because they didn't have 3. 2 and 4 of Spy Family. This is another manga that I have absolutely been loving lately. It is exactly how it sounds. So it's about a dad who has to infiltrate this boarding school. And what better way to do it than to get the perfect family? So he ends up getting a wife who he doesn't know is also a top-rated assassin. And then they get a daughter who neither of them realize is a psychic. And it's just a lot of fun and really great. Is it ecchi? I kind of know what that means. It is a little spicy. It is.
Oh, I was like, what is ecchi?
It is mildly spicy.
Okay.
I've read things that are much spicier, but I've also read things that are not spicy at all. So I would say this is a nice medium to mild spice. And then the last book that I picked up was A Man and His Cat, Volume 3. This is one of the cutest fucking books I have ever read in my life. It is literally a man and his fat, chubby little cat. And it's them having adventures. And this cat, listen, it is just them having little adventures. And it's an old man who literally lost his wife and he's a widower. And now he has become, look at this fat, chubby cat. Look at how precious he is. How could you not love him? And this book is personal for me because it reminds me of my old fat chubby baby. And it's like, I don't know, it's like sounds silly, but it's like a way for me to get closer to him now that he's gone. And I'm going to stop talking about it now before I start crying. But I just love this book and it's so funny and so cute and just a lot of fun. I don't know.
That reminds me a little bit of Junji Ito did a book called Yan and Moo.
Cat Diary.
Yeah. Which was totally adorable. And him basically learning how to live with a cat, or 2 cats rather, but then like falling in love with them. So there were so many moments that remind me of my 2 old guys that are around here somewhere. Normally Luna joins us, but he didn't today. Speaking of which, the books that I got this week did include a new Junji Ito called
that one looks so good.
Love Sickness. I'm a really big fan of his like anthologies where he does the short stories, and so apparently this is another one of his short stories, like Smashed and Shiver. Yeah. I almost did not, or is it? Hold on. Maybe it's not. Sorry. Love Sickness collects 10 stories showcasing. Yeah, so it looks like it's a
another anthology.
Yeah. So I really appreciate that because I really love Smashed and Shiver. And I like the short stories because it gives you a lot of creepy vibes without having to go too much or go because I think that sometimes horror stories, when you are a horror story, you either die a hero or live long enough to see yourself become a villain. So like you either live long enough to become a humor story, or you die a really creepy haunting story. So that's why I do really enjoy short horror stories, because it doesn't I'm able to put things down, but with short stories, I usually read all the way. So really excited to read that. I also got the Black Widow trade, which even though I read, the single issues, but issue number 6 comes out next week, or
It does.
Number 6 comes out this upcoming week. And another one of those books, hated issue number 1, really liked issue 3, 4, 5. So pick up the trade, and then you can pick up
number 6.
Yep. And so I did get Gorilla Green, but I had an accident at lunch where I was eating food, and I put my food down, and there must have been a hole in the bowl, and so then it spilled all over, and it spilled near one of my books, and so it so anyways, Gorilla Green I ended up picking up, and it got spilled on, but I still think it's readable, so I'm still gonna read it. So I just don't have that one in front of me. So just
Jay asks, how is the trade quality on Black Widow, which I'm also curious about. Is it floppy, bendy? Yeah, there it is. That good old Marvel flop.
which
Listen,
I'm okay with when it comes to like, I mean, granted, this book was what, $16, but
Marvel's gonna stop that shit. Like,
yeah.
I'm so mad with Marvel and their trade quality because it's just bad. It's fine when they do a library binding, like when the libraries get it and they do that nice binding, but this is just,
Yeah.
it's not
Marvel's either gonna
okay.
like blacklist us or they're gonna be like, okay, can you give us all of the I don't know,
Give us
tips to
all
make
your
our shit
notes.
better?
Give us
Give
all
us
your
all your
notes.
notes. Give us your thoughts here. We're gonna send you a free trade. Tell us about the quality. Highly doubt that'll ever happen, but
It'll
um
one day.
yeah. So for 5 issues for $17, not bad.
No.
Two other books that I got are both anthologies. Not done by the same. This one is done by TO Comics, which it looks like is a Canadian brand, and it's Wayward Sisters, an anthology of monstrous women. And I'm just gonna go ahead and full
Okay,
screen.
wait a second. Ooh. Okay, I need this. I want this. I need this. Why do you find the coolest books ever in the whole wide world? It's that Portland vibe, isn't it?
It is, and I do have to shout out Books with Pictures because they specifically get cool stuff like this. Um, and they are 100% responsible for me falling in love with Smut Peddler because every time there's a new, they're like, hey, Jennifer, we got a restock in of these smutty comic anthologies. We got 5 of them in. Do you want to take a look at them? And I'm just like, just one of each. Like,
One of each,
you
please.
know this by now. So this one looks really cute because it's monster women. And then this one that I got is called Beyond, the Queer Science, Sci-Fi and Fantasy Comic Anthology. This one is more like I think that these are more maybe wholesome, where
Okay.
the other one looks a little
I
bit more.
remember that one. I believe I remember it being kickstarted, possibly. It's been a while. I do recognize that one, and it's one that's been on my list for a while. So,
I think
might
that that's what Katie was mentioning to me. Either Katie or Nick at the shop was mentioning that this one, I do believe, was kickstarted, and then they like compiled the trade all together. So seriously, shout out to Books with Pictures. Literally the best comic book shop I have ever been to ever in my life. I love Books with Pictures so much. You know what I'm talking about. So I really do. So I got 3 anthologies that I'm really excited about because it's easy for me to be like, okay, I'm going to read like 2 or 3 stories. Okay, I'll put down, okay, read 2 or 3 stories and then I'm done with it. So,
exactly.
yep.
And that's what I really like about anthology. So that's all that you picked up, right? You didn't have any. You don't do library pickups nearly because you just spend that dumb bitch money.
I don't, and so here's also the thing is because right at the beginning of quarantine, I moved here like 3 months before quarantine really started, and so I didn't get a chance to do a lot of library going to, and then I ended up in the middle of quarantine applying for a library card, and it just kind of got like I don't know what happened. And then I'm just like, okay, I'm going to buy all this books. So maybe the library will get a ton of books from me. We'll see.
Maybe.
Maybe.
So I did do a big. Oh, let's see if I can pick it up. Oh my god. I love the local library. So I love library halls. Because I get so many books. And I don't have to spend any money on them, which is really, really great. So support your local library because they will help you discover books that you never thought you would like. Like seriously, I would not even be reading Marvel if it was not for the local library. But what's nice is there is a library literally within walking distance of my job. So I went there on lunch and it was the first time they were open to the public, whereas before it was you just had to order stuff and curbside pickup. So I got to go in and peruse and walk out with a fat stack. So things that I picked up, and everything is actually superheroes, which is really weird for me, but whatever. Picked up Green Lantern Legacy.
Here, I'm going to go ahead and
She's going to full screen me. Okay, I picked up Green Lantern Legacy, which I have been ridiculously excited to read. It's a part of the, I don't know if this was DCU or DC Inc., but this is definitely one of the more younger age DC comic stories. It follows an all new Asian Green Lantern, and I'm really excited to read that. Also did not expect it to be this tiny, so it's really nice. Picked up my first ever Swamp Thing book, which I know Jen is really happy about. And that is another DC original graphic novel. It is Swamp Thing Twin Branches, which you have talked about previously and how much you loved it. I can't talk about these original graphic novels enough from DC Comics. Seriously, if you haven't been reading any of them, they are ridiculously great and some of the best work that DC Comics has been putting out. 100%.
Okay.
Picked up. Oh, that was sticky.
Ooh.
Picked up X Factor Volume 1, which I am also really excited about.
Super queer.
Well, that's the other thing. I've heard it's super queer. I've heard that Dakin, I never know how to pronounce his name, but he's one of my favorites. I heard that he is just a chaos bisexual in this. So I'm really excited to experience
100
bisexual.
Here's what I also have to say about that book, because I recently picked it up also because Books with Pictures was like, hey, this is hella gay. And I'm like, okay. Yes, Dakin, not really sure. I always forget, but he's a very unlikable character, but there's moments in this where you're like, oh, I like you. So.
He's a scumbag boy, and we love scumbag boys.
Scumbag boyfriend.
Scumbag boyfriends. I picked up Winter Soldier, The Longest Winter, because, we're all on that. I've only watched one episode, but I'm on that Bucky Barnes bullshit, and I've read this, did not really care for it. It was very mid-2000s Marvel. However, there is a lot of spicy fucking moments between him and Black Widow, which, let's be honest, y'all, it's the whole reason why I went into this book, is for the spicy ass moments, and I am forever mad that fucking Marvel never let them be together in the movies, but that's a conversation for another day. This I've just had sitting around because I need to read it. It's Green Arrow Volume 4 of Rebirth, because somehow I read 1, 2, 3, and 5, but somehow, and I had them all from the library, and I somehow forgot to read 4 in the stack, so I gotta read 4. Kind of makes sense why 5. I was like, why did this happen? But, I'll save those for last. Finally got to pick up the... Oh, no, I didn't. It's not here because it's in my bag. Okay, we'll talk about it.
Okay, pretend.
Picked up the hardcover Batman, Their Dark Designs, the James Tynion run. People keep saying his name weird, and it's pissing me off. I've been saying Tynion for years, but apparently it's Tynion. Picked up the James Tynion run of Batman. I'm about halfway through it. Listen, y'all, not really loving it. It's very wordy and very boring. And Punchline still hasn't shown up, so I'm like, what's the point? Like, who cares?
I've been trying to go back and read Justice League Dark run, and I'm just like, I feel like I want to like this, but I'm not loving it. But I feel like there's something to be had here, but I'm not loving it. It's been a tough, I need to pick that up, but I'm just gonna let it sit there.
It feels very pre-New 52, and I don't know if that's because it's Guillaume March doing the art, and he did a lot of Batman work pre-New 52, so it just feels very mid-2000s, but I'm not loving it. Picked up kind of a shocker for me, and that is the Justice League Deluxe Edition Volume 2. I'm just going right to Volume 2, and we all know I'm not a fan of Scott Snyder. Scott? Yes. I always have to double check, because I'm always going back and forth between the two of them. However, this book apparently has a lot to deal with Hawkgirl, and it's the two Hawkgirls fighting against each other. So me being the huge Hawkgirl stan that I am, I'm like, all right, y'all giving me Hawkgirl content. I gotta read it. Whatever, y'all. And then, because I've been missing my boy, I picked up the Batman Deluxe Edition Volume 5, because it's been a while since I've read Tom King. And I was going to do a big run, read Volume 1 through Volume, whatever. But these were at the library, and I was like, I just want to read these. And there's a couple of issues in this one in particular that I never actually read, so I'm excited to finally read them. And then I picked up, I didn't even know that this was out. Apparently, this is a new release. This is the soft cover City of Bane saga. And I absolutely loved City of Bane when it came out. It's basically the last 10 issues of Tom King's run. Listen, I'm going to fight y'all on the street. This is a very good book. It's a very good story. And I am just really excited to be able to sit down and actually read it from start to finish, rather than reading it bi-weekly. because we all know and we've all established that Tom King tends to work better when he's compiled. So I'm just, oh, I've been missing it.
You know, I feel like I'm really liking what is going on in. I actually really, really like what's going on in the Joker storyline, and we're getting Bane's daughter, Vengeance, or Bane's
Oh,
daughter
hot.
clone. Yeah, 100% thick girl, and I'm really digging that. So I feel like because you just mentioned that it like I don't know, I feel like I need to read that to maybe like give me an idea of what's going on. Because I haven't been picking up DC titles for a very, very long time. So
Until you met me and I started making you read them, just like you
yeah.
make me read Marvel.
Hmm.
We're
And even
meant for
then,
each
this
other.
week I'm like, look everything that Marvel came out with because I didn't like a damn. I mean, okay, so I did like Way of X, but other than that,
It was a heavy week. There was a lot of stuff this week.
yeah.
And I feel like next week we don't do we have that much coming out next week?
I think I'm about. So I was looking at my
I have to.
new comics, and I'm only about like
Mhm.
halfway through like making my list. This is just the thing of like, okay, I'm gonna make sure that I get these things, even though I pre-ordered a ton of stuff. Shout out to the Comics Hub app. Shout out to Books with Pictures for dealing with me ordering a whole bunch of stuff on the Comics Hub app.
So there are some good things coming out next week. So we already talked about it. Black Widow #6 comes out next week. It's the start of a new arc. She's in San Francisco. So even if you weren't picking up Black Widow before, it's a great jumping on point for you. Crossover #6, which I believe is the last issue in the arc.
So at
So
first I thought this was going to be a 6-issue limited series, but it sounds like issue 6 is just the end of the Kids Love Chains arc of crossover. I think that's what they're calling it.
basically, this is going to be the deciding factor of if it's going to stay on my pull list. Spoiler,
Yeah.
it's probably not. Helm Grey Castle #1 comes out next week. It seems like a really, really great new image first. It's Latino-inspired Dungeons and Dragons. So
Hmm.
really excited to see that. Nuclear Family #3, which we've been loving. Darth Vader #11. Listen, I'm so close to dropping this from my pull list, and I was loving the series, but we're starting to go into some sequel bullshit that I'm just not a fan of, and it's starting to get boring. Witchblood #2, which we really love, we're really excited for. I got to read a little bit of Witchblood #2. Can confirm it still slaps. So if you did not read Witchblood #1, I think the second printing for that actually comes out next week.
Hmm.
So you can pick up 1 and 2. And then the Stargazer trade comes out next week, which I am, if you saw the video that we posted on E-Man's channel, talked about how ridiculously excited I am about that. That was definitely one of my favorite series of 2020. Please nominate it for an Eisner. I swear to God. Nominate it for an Eisner, y'all. I just want that book to be nominated. I like, even if it doesn't win, just the nomination itself, so that way more people get their eyes on that book.
Hmm.
Pick up the series. It is X-Files. Let me see. E-Man described it really well without even reading the book. He said it was X-Files, Stranger Things, Department of Truth, It. And there was another thing that we said, but yeah, it's all of those 4 wonderful things or 5 wonderful things in one. Please pick up the trade. Yes, Hostway
Yeah.
here coming through, being like, we're the Stargazer crew right now. Fucking read that book because it's amazing.
So good. Is that anything
That's
else on?
everything I'm getting.
Um, Definitely like crossover Department of Truth. If you've been reading that, issue #7 comes out,
Mm-hmm.
8 comes out, and it's the like start of a new arc. So the first issue, I guess, maybe did issues 1 through 5, and then 6 and 7. So maybe it's 8 that's coming out. And so 6 and 7 came out. It was kind of like a weird time jump, and then issue 8 is like continuing. So I'm excited to see what happens in Department of Truth. Yes to Grey Castle, Shadecraft, Nuclear, Witchblood, Stargazer, Black Widow 6. Cable #10 comes out, and I'm pretty sure Cable #10 wraps up the series of Fuckboy Cable.
Greg pointed out 25th. Yes, 25th is coming out. Don't know why that's not on my app, but yes, I will be picking up that one.
For sure. I've also got Bitterroot #12. I really appreciated issue #11. Let's see. My Little Ponies Transformers is coming out,
I
and
can't with you. I love it though.
it's like the first issue in a second arc. It's really good. I love it. I'll be very honest, I'm not a fan of My Little Pony or Transformers, but it works. It
It
works
just
so
works.
good. I also, like I said, this is not a full list because I didn't finish my list yet. I've also got Beta Ray Bill, another monster boyfriend. MODOK number 4, Head
And we finally
Games.
got a release date for MODOK.
At the end of May, and if you watch the trailer, it looks so good. But MODOK number 4 finishes this limited series, and it's basically MODOK is haunted by a fake family that he's never had. So I'm really curious. Berserker number 2 comes out. I'm actually going to pick it up. I will read it to you in like a bedtime story, the
You
same way
heard
that I
me.
did Casual Fling, and I will give you all the juicy details,
Juicy details.
Juicy bloody titty details, because that's what we
I
got at
don't.
the end
I
of
didn't
issue
want to.
number 1.
I didn't want to be the one to say it.
Sorry.
Didn't want to be the one to say it.
So I'll let you know if there's any more juicy bloody titties show up in issue number 2.
Cult of Dracula number 2 comes out next week. Are you picking that up?
Yeah, I will.
No, you're
also,
not.
No,
No, you're
kidding.
not.
I'm
Do not.
totally not.
Listen, y'all, I need y'all to help me because I don't trust Jen, and neither should you. She will definitely pick up Cult of Dracula number 2 if it's on her shelf. So listen, all you Portland people, Josue, if you're still here, hear me out. If you are in Books with Pictures or Excalibur, whatever shop it is that y'all go to, you see Jen picking up this book, you are to either FaceTime me, call me, or just knock Jen out completely. You have my permission. Portland fams, do not let Jen buy this book. I will call Books of Pictures myself and be like, hear me out. Y'all know who Jen is. I know you know who Jen is. If you see her at checkout with Cult of Dracula number 2, deny. Don't do it.
I'm just going to go to like the 4th and 5th and 6th and 7th shops that are here.
Yeah, I only know the name of 2 shops that are out there. Listen, I'm coming to Portland, y'all. I will know all of these shops.
We've got Comic Cave, Comics Adventures, Floating World, Cloud 9, Things from Another World, a Cosmic Monkey.
Cosmic Monkey is the name of a comic shop.
1,000%.
Oh, I love that.
Yeah. There are like a million. So yeah. Try calling all those shops.
I'm a fucking idiot. Robin number 1 comes out next week, and that was one of my picks when I was talking with E-Man.
What is it?
Robin number 1. I'm an idiot.
Oh, from DC. Yeah.
I'm an idiot. I legally have to subscribe to that series because number 3 has Connor Hawk popping up. You have too many comic shops, y'all.
So I tried to go to Future Dreams one time, but it was like, I was like, I'm going to go to like 4 shops today. And that was the first one I went to. Apparently they're still closed. They only do like online shopping, and like pull order pickups. So I really want to go there. Haven't had a chance. Oh, there's also Fallout, but,
oh my God.
Yeah, I won't talk about that.
Also, can we pull Gino's comment up? Because my eyes saw Magic the Gathering and I immediately went. So, please explain more on this fiasco. I mean, I know it was a fiasco, but please explain more. I know my shop got in one of the other variants. So I was able to snag that, and I have somebody actually sending one to me, so I'm like, cool, double down safe. But I'm still missing that 3rd variant. So like, please, I'm interested. Please provide more information.
I need you to tell me which variant it is, so I can
so we can hunt. It's not going to matter because they're all blind bagged anyway. I hate it. Yeah. I hate it. So listen, don't get me started. Boom, boom, y'all fucked up. Anyway, hi.
Dune number 6 comes out. There's a really pretty Dune. There's a really pretty Jenny Frison.
Oh, is that one?
It's the really pretty Jenny Frison cover. So I'm probably, I think that I pre-ordered it with Books with Pictures. If for some reason I didn't get that one, then I'll see. I can cross the river. So this is just in like Portland proper, but there's like 3 or 4 shops in Vancouver, in Washington. But since your girl doesn't have a car, it's mostly just walking or lifting distance. So, anyways, So many shops here.
So many.
So many. We talked a lot about about a lot of books
A lot of books.
this
So
week.
many books.
All the books that are coming out next week. And I feel like it's still, even though my list isn't like all inclusive, I still feel like it's going to be a pretty heavy week. I'm going to at least challenge myself to not spend the dumb bitch money on all the covers.
It's not going to happen. Portland fam, you're out on that one too. Don't let Jen try to hide anything. Be real with me. If you see her in a shop spending that dumb, and that's what I love, is that so many people that watch the show know you IRL and know your spending habits and know just the way you operate, and it's just wonderful. Yeah. It's a wonderful experience.
It's so funny.
It makes me glad to know I'm not in Portland.
Yeah. When I was at the shop this week, I did spend quite a bit of money, and Nick, who rang me up, was like, "This is the most amount of money you've ever spent here," and I'm like, "This is the most amount of money I've ever spent so far." So, you know, yeah. I'm trying to get better, and I'm trying to be smarter with my money.
It's
so
not
who
knows?
Happen. Who knows? So I think that's it for me. Anything else? I know that I messaged you, or we were messaging earlier. You have maybe some things, maybe.
I have some things filmed, and I was editing and was 3/4 of the way through editing and realized I need to finish reading this week's books. So I had to stop editing. I'm hoping that I probably won't edit anymore because your girl's kind of on a Mortal Kombat binge right now. So I am playing lots of Mortal Kombat. Might go play Mortal Kombat after the stream.
Oh.
But I'm hoping to have the new video uploaded possibly by mid this week. And then I have another video that I also filmed that I'm not sure if it turned out the way I wanted it to, but fingers crossed, y'all. Fingers crossed. Mm-hmm.
So if you haven't already, you should go to that Comic Girls channel. I'm going to go ahead and drop that link in the chat. Everybody needs to be subscribed to her. So as we are saying our goodbyes, when we're done here, please go give a like and subscribe to your girl over here, because seriously, like, you're the better half of this show.
100%. Wrong.
100%.
Nope. We'll fight. We'll fight 100%.
It's true. We will see you all next week here on Sunday. I feel like I've been trying to do edited videos, and I hate all of them. So we'll see if maybe I can do a video that
you need to practice. You need to practice with mid-2000s anime montage videos, and then only then will you become the queen and or king and then or whatever babe of editing is.
The babe of editing. You've already got that title.
The babe of editing is done through blood, sweat, and tears of anime montage videos.
Okay, so that's where I'll start. Thank you, seriously, thank you so much for everyone for being here. Please drop a like on your way out, and please, on your way out, go ahead and just let us stop talking to you here. Go follow, go subscribe to Mars. Please go follow this link, and bye, folks. I love you all, and I hope you all have a wonderful evening.
Bye.